Cade Cunningham, Franz Wagner, Jalen Green, Scottie Barnes, Evan Mobley, and Herbert Jones are among the top rookies drafted in the 2021 NBA Draft. Most fans and pundits have one of these 6 players in the top 5 NBA rookies, but methods of selection vary from person to person, and the statistics used to justify their selections are either too narrow or in many cases favor towards the players they like. To limit as much bias as possible, I decided to take a well-rounded approach to evaluating the games of these rookies. To take a well-rounded assessment of how well these rookies performed, I decided to look at their games on offense and defense from 3 main points: location on the court, efficiency, and functionality. I also tried to select stats that weren't just products of high usage and volume. This was in order to truly assess how well these rookies performed on a play-by-play basis. Here's what I found. As I looked at each of their stats in the certain categories that I picked, I was able to rank them on a scale of 5 to 0, with 5 going to the player with the highest score in that category and 0 going to the player with the lowest. I then added the ranks of the multiple categories on a table that you're looking at, and at the end was able to get a total score of where they stacked against each other based on how high they ranked. I combined this for both offense and defense, and this is what allowed me to see who had the most impact on the court when they played during the season. Let's get into the numbers. First, let's look at offensive performance. I selected 11 categories that allow me to see how well these rookies performed at different aspects of their game. Field goal percentage at the rim tells us how well they finish around the basket, with Evan Mobley doing most of his damage as a big man on the inside, leading the way with a 73% average. Scottie not too far behind, and Cade coming in last. For middies, Scottie Barnes led the category, shooting 43% from the field, and Herbert Jones comes in last with a shooting average from the mid-range of 29%. For three-pointers, in general, Franz Wagner led the group with 35%, with Jalen about a half a point behind him at 34%. Evan Mobley understandably comes in with a 0 rank in the three-point category. Up until this point, as it relates to shooting from different spots on the court, Franz Wagner and Scottie Barnes led this group with a tied rank score of 10. Let's keep going. Now that we have assessed the general shooting zones, I looked at how well these 6 rookies got to the free throw line by assessing their free throw attempt rate. Evan Mobley led the way with this stat, with Cade coming in surprisingly last. The great thing about rates is that it mitigates the effects of just sheer volume. Cade averages 2.6 free throw attempts this season, which ranks 5 out of 6 in this group. This is an area of his game where he can improve, and in combination with better finishing at the rim, he can become a more effective scorer. In order to assess the effectiveness of these players with the ball in their hands, I decided to look at points per front court touch. I didn't look at overall touches because, based on position, a player like Cade Cunningham, for example, would have a high denominator as it relates to touches, which may affect his points. So I looked at it from a front court setting, which looks at how they played within the flow of a set offense. For this category, Jalen leads the way with a 0.64 points per possession per touch. Coming in last was Herbert Jones with 0.44. Looking at assist percentage, this is where Cade blows everyone out the water. He hosts an assist percentage of 29% on offensive possessions for his team. Franz Wagner comes in last with 10%. This season, Franz was a bucket, but he, along with all the other non-Cade rookies, will need to increase their playmaking in order to take that next level leap. We've looked at shooting from different parts of the court. We've looked at a little bit of playmaking. Now let's look at how some of these rookies fare in different types of offensive settings. In isolation offense, Franz Wagner is the ISO king, with Jalen coming in second. Keep in mind that Franz's efficiency is high from the previous table. In the pick and roll, all of these stats, I assessed each player as the ball handler except for Evan Mobley, who was assessed as a pick and roll big due to no times where he ran the pick and roll as a ball handler. Scottie, out of this group, is the best pick and roll player, which makes no surprise that the Raptors used him to play point guard at different points during the season. On catch and shoot, I looked at the effective field goal percentages of these rookies, which accounts for both 2s and 3s. Once again, Franz Wagner leads this efficiency category with Jalen Green right behind him. Now let's assess transition play with points per possession in transition. Franz and Evan Mobley led this category, likely because they are the receivers of passes from their guards. And Cade is last in this category, which was kind of a surprise to me. And lastly, turnover percentage. This is relative to offensive possession and is not a volume assessment of turnovers. Scottie, based on this stat, takes care of the ball, while Cade is a bit more adventurous with his playmaking. In total, the offensive ranks are Scottie at number 1 with a combined score of 34, Franz at number 2 with a score of 33, Jalen at number 3 with a combined rank score of 31, Evan at number 4 with a score of 30, Cade at number 5 with a score of 19, and Herbert Jones at 6 with a score of 18. And based on these stats combined together, the best all-around offensive impact player out of these 6 rookies is Scottie Barnes. For defense, I used the same methodology. Defense is a hard part of the game to assess, so I chose statistics that mirrored the offensive stats we just reviewed. Keeping that same theme of impact related to location on the court, efficiency, and functionality. The first stat here is defensive isolation. It may surprise people that Jalen Green comes in the highest ranked in this category. But as I have watched him, he is a capable on-ball defender and on the perimeter. His main issues lie everywhere else on the court. Coming in last was Herbert Jones, and there are several factors that may affect this, specifically the difficulty of his defensive assignments. He is usually tasked with defending the best wing player on the other team, and in today's NBA, there's little to nothing anyone can do to stop these guys from scoring. Regardless, he isn't the best isolation defender. In the pick and roll, Scottie Barnes once again shows that he has a lot of intelligence for a rookie, coming in grading the highest with the lowest points per possession in this stat. Defensive field goal percentage is a straightforward stat that looks at what the opponent shot while being guarded by a player. Franz Wagner kept his opponents to 43% from the floor during the season, while Jalen allowed 53%, which made him come in last. For block percentages, it was no surprise that Evan Mobley led the way as the one center in the group. And Herbert was a menace on ball as the steals percentage leader in this category. Total rebounds also went to Evan Mobley. Deflections are the hallmark of Herbert Jones as he leads in this category. And Evan Mobley, rightfully the best defender for opponent field goal percentages at the rim. Defending the mid-range, Herbert is the best defender in the group, and Scottie takes the crown for defending opponents from the three-point line. And the last stat I looked at was how frequently these rookies fouled when they were playing defense. Jalen Green fouls the least out of the group. Surprised? And here are the defensive totals. Scottie takes the crown again with 36, coming in first. Evan coming in second with 33. Cade, our third best defender in this group, coming in with a score of 30. Herbert coming in fourth with a score of 26. Franz coming in fifth with a score of 24. And Jalen Green coming in last with a score of 16. I plotted each player based on how well they performed on offense and on defense. I also totaled their scores for both sides of the ball based on their ranks. The highest total rank score was Scottie Barnes with a total score of 70. Evan Mobley came in second with a score of 63. Franz came in third with a score of 57. Cade came in fourth with a score of 49. Jalen came in fifth with a score of 47. And Herbert Jones came in last with a score of 44. Based on those total ranked scores, here is my all-rookie team. It was a close call between Jalen Green and Herbert Jones, but for me, it came down to the fact that Jalen was a better offensive player than Herbert was at defense. Now, this may come down to offensive and defensive philosophies or the weight that each person places on those sides of the ball, but Herbert Jones does have an argument to be on the all-rookie team. What is your top 5? Comment below and remember to subscribe to the Chop Shop for more great basketball content.